If you're watching videos, highlighting, or taking notes, you might be doing content review wrong. In this video, I want to share with you guys 10 different steps that you can follow to be able to do content review right and only take the MCAT once. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Sai, and I am a first-year medical student, MCAT tutor, and pre-med advisor. The first step you need to take to do content review is to get the books and commit to them. There are a lot of books out there, and after doing a little bit of research, I committed to the Kaplan books. One of the reasons why I picked Kaplan is because they're pretty comprehensive and very concise as well. They're a lot more comprehensive than the AMC bundle you might be familiar with, but they're a lot more concise than the Princeton review, which has a lot of info that might not be tested on test day. Another reason why I picked Kaplan is because it matches very well with the Anki decks that are out there, including Malzahn and Jack Sparrow. Right after reading a chapter, I would do the Anki deck that would correspond to that chapter. And since the majority of Anki decks are based on the Kaplan books, that was very convenient. Lastly, something I really liked is that the chapters include the percent of questions that you might see from a given chapter. Hold on to that though. I'm going to be talking about that later on in the video. The second step, make a schedule. If you haven't done so already, go and watch my video on my MCAT schedule explained so you have an idea of how I broke down my MCAT schedule. In general, try to save at least 2 hours of your day to do content review. These 2 hours are not just going to help you review the content, but it's also going to prepare you to build up the stamina for testing. Be as realistic as you can with that schedule, and if you need help creating one, please reach out. I've created more than 100 personalized schedules for students, and I would be more than happy to help. Last thing that I would say about your schedule is to focus on short-term and long-term goals. Your short-term goals should be to finish those 2 chapters in a given day, while long-term would be like finishing 2 different books within 2 weeks. Always remember to be realistic and to push yourself to follow that schedule. Once you've created your schedule, I want you to take those books and break them down on the individual chapters they contain. Right next to it, write down the percent that chapter might represent on your test day. This is very helpful because it gives you a guide of the specific topics that you need to cover first. As you read them, highlight them so you don't fall behind and guide yourself throughout the process. Personally, I made it my goal to read about 2 chapters per day. If it was chemistry and physics, I would pick 1 chapter of general chemistry and another chapter of physics, and I would try to highlight them by the end of the day so I will be finished. Once you break down the books into the different chapters, I want you to rank them based on your weaknesses. There are multiple ways to determine your weaknesses, but I want you to ask yourself 3 different questions. Have I ever seen that topic? How did you do in that course back in undergrad? And even if you did well, how long has it been since you last saw it? Your weaknesses are going to be those topics that you have never seen or that you haven't seen in a while or that you really struggled in undergrad. Ranking them like this is very useful because it allows you to prioritize your weaknesses. Keep in mind that nothing is low yield and that you should be putting the same effort for every single chapter. Next step is to choose your learning method and start your content review. Before you even open the book, I want you to think about the learning method that really helped you throughout undergrad. Are you a visual learner or an auditory learner? Do you like taking notes, highlighting, or just reading the book? If you are a visual learner like me, you probably like pictures, videos, and schematics. That for me, however, did not work out during my MCAT study, and I'm gonna tell you why. If you're currently using videos like Sketchy, Leo4Side, or any other resources, you need to understand something. These videos are summaries of books, and the books are already summarized. And if you're using the videos as the only source of your content review, then what you're gonna be doing is learning from a summary of another summary of content that is already summarized. The problem with this is that you lose a lot of info throughout the way, and that's how you build up your content gaps. With that being said, I do love sources like ACAT lectures and Khan Academy. I tried taking notes, that didn't work out. I tried highlighting, didn't work out, and I don't recommend it. So I just committed to reading the books. If you're going to be writing notes or listening to videos, please be careful and keep in mind that you shouldn't be spending too much time, but you should at least have an understanding of these topics. The next step is to add Anki to your study. While doing content review, Anki has to be there. After 2, 3, even 4 days of your content review, you might feel super confident, super comfortable with the things that you're reading. However, you need to understand that even though you are learning, you're also forgetting. You're gonna learn from PsychSoc that the forgetting curve is exponential and you cannot do anything about it. The only thing you can do is slow down the rate at which you forget. This is why spaced repetition softwares like Anki are great to avoid forgetting. Yes, you might hate Anki or find it boring just like I did, but you need to do it. It is super useful. I would even recommend you to do it every single day during your content review. This could be done right after reading a chapter or covering a whole book. Next step, supplement your content. You might get to a point where even after reading a chapter and doing Anki, you still don't understand the content, or you might just not retain it. This is when supplementing your content with resources like videos is ideal. Maybe using someone else to explain that content, get a tutor or someone who can hold you accountable or who is better than you in that topic. This is also a great time to make connections. I'm a big fan of making connections because it allows you to get that information to stick to your brain. Let me give you an example. If you're studying something like fluids that you might find it very boring or very difficult to understand, try to make a connection with something that you might be interested in. Cardiovascular system and capillaries and arterioles and all the blood flowing through as a fluid. If you're learning about circuits, make the connection with the heart that has a circuit within it. And even with kinematics, think about your skeletal system. Physics topics that might seem random can always be connected to the human body. And of course, as pre-meds, we are more likely to be interested in those things. You cannot do content review without including a little bit of practice, and that will be the next step. Adding some light practice is always good, so you familiarize yourself not just with the interface of the test, but also with the type of questions that you might see on test day. During my content review, I would recommend you to incorporate around 10 to 15 questions either from UWorld or Jack Weston, which is free. I am also going to be making a video on how to review these questions so you don't make the same mistakes I made. It is important that you stay engaged and motivated throughout, which was for me the hardest thing to do during my MCAT study. Something that really worked for me to stay engaged was to make my own Anki deck. So I will be writing on my computer things that I would read from the textbook but make it into a question. Now, I didn't end up using that Anki deck. As a matter of fact, I deleted it right after and went to use Jack Sparrow, but it was a better way for me to stay engaged with the content than highlighting, which was very passive, and writing down notes, which took me a very long time. I am also a very big fan of the HubermanLab. If you're familiar with this channel, this is a professor who teaches neuroscience at Stanford School of Medicine. He has an amazing video on attention and focus and how to stay engaged for a long period of time. And if you want to watch it, I'm going to include it in the description of this video. One of the things he mentioned in that video is the importance of the visual cortex and remaining focused for a long time. He pretty much explained how you could use your eyes to redirect your attention towards the thing that you need to focus on. I have tried this when I notice myself looking around or looking at my phone, and I just remind myself to keep on looking at the words, sentences, and the content that I need to read. A little thing like that made a huge difference for me during my studying, and it's still something that I use to remain focused for a long period of time. You will get distracted by your environment and the people around you, but it is your job to remain focused and redirect your attention back to your content review. Lastly, please do not overdo it. Don't spend too much time on a single content topic, as all of them are important. The whole goal of content review is to familiarize yourself with every topic on the MCAT, but you do not need to master it. This is a reason why you go into practice and you review well your practice, so you fill in those content gaps and you master those topics. You shouldn't be spending 5 or 6 hours on a given chapter, as this is not going to help you. These are the things that I would recommend you guys to do content review well. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.